Remote interviews are all the rage these days, and while they are really convenient, it can definitely be a challenge to conduct an interview when you can't meet face to face. Fortunately, there are strategies to help you be successful, and in this video, we're going to break them down for you, so stay tuned until the very end to learn our top 7 tips for conducting great remote interviews.
Hey, and welcome to the official Teamly YouTube channel. If you enjoy our content, please click the like and subscribe button below. Now let's get straight to the video.
All right, let's get right into it with our first tip, test your tech. It can be incredibly frustrating for job candidates to go through the trouble of preparing for an interview only to find out that the interviewer didn't put forth the same effort. So in advance of your interview, make sure you know how to use your video conferencing software and check to see if your mic and camera work. You'll also want to verify whether your software allows you to record the video so you don't have to bother with note-taking while you're assessing a candidate. And if other members of your team will be participating in the interview, you'll want to verify that they have correct permissions and add them to the call. Our next tip is to set expectations. You want recruits to know what they can expect from the call so that they're every bit as prepared as you are, which is why prior to the interview, you'll want to explain who they'll be meeting with and how long the interview will take so they can block off enough time on their calendar. If you want to go the extra mile, it's also helpful to give candidates some tips on how they can prepare for the remote interview, such as using great lights, doing their own mic testing, or troubleshooting Zoom. This helps ensure that both parties are prepared for the video's technical challenges so the interview goes off without a hitch. This thing on? Moving on, our next tip is to avoid overbooking. Although you can book back-to-back interviews with a dozen candidates, we really don't recommend it. Instead, give yourself time between interviews to get up, stretch your legs, go to the bathroom, go grab a snack. These mini breaks will help you recharge your battery so you're on top of your game even when you're talking to the last candidate of the day. Plus, they'll also give you time to record your thoughts about a potential hire before moving on to your next interview. Our fourth tip is to eliminate distractions. Distractions can ruin the flow of an interview and even prevent you from getting the information you need to make a decision. So before hopping on a video call, eliminate distractions by finding a private area to talk, whether it's your employer's conference room or a home office. It's also a good idea to get rid of any clutter that could be distracting, for instance, by making sure your camera faces a blank wall rather than your unmade bed. And of course, you'll also want to minimize background noise as much as possible, so shut your windows, turn off your phone notifications, and avoid running any loud appliances. Finally, if you have pets, make sure you secure them in another room before the call starts. Moving on, our next tip is to establish rapport. A good rapport fosters trust, respect, and empathy, qualities that help good job candidates open up because they feel more comfortable. As a result, you can get better sense of who they are and whether they'd be a good cultural fit for your organization. While rapport may seem easier to do with face-to-face interviews, there are some techniques that you can do to build good rapport over video. For instance, before the call starts, take a few deep breaths so that you can get centered. Then once the interview begins, warmly greet the candidate by thanking them for coming in, offering a virtual handshake or even a little wave. Interestingly enough, research shows that warm greetings like these help form a stronger emotional connection over video than a more neutral welcome like, "Hey, let's get started." Throughout the call, make good eye contact and nod your head periodically so your interviewee knows that you're actively listening. You can even virtually mirror their words. For instance, if a prospective candidate says, "I was promoted to district manager at my last job," you can respond by saying, "You were promoted to district manager?" Not only does this show interest, but it also is a great way to get the candidate to offer up more details. Just be careful to use this tactic sparingly. You don't want to overdo it. Our next tip is to assess EQ. Emotional intelligence, or EQ, refers to someone's ability to understand and manage their emotions. Typically, people with a high EQ are self-aware, they're able to regulate their emotions, they're empathetic towards others, and they have good social skills. These are the people we say know how to read a room. The reason it's so important to assess a candidate's EQ is because research shows that EQ is actually one of the biggest predictors of job success, no matter what type of job you're hiring for. So to get a sense of someone's EQ, try asking questions that yield revealing answers about someone's self-awareness, priorities, and emotional responses, like, what inspires you? What 3 workplace values would you emphasize if you were starting your own company? Or, tell me about a workplace conflict you had in the past and how you handled it. These questions can go a long way toward helping you make great hires. Finally, our last tip for conducting remote interviews is to remember that you're also being interviewed. Due to the big quit, more and more employers are struggling to find the right hires, and the best candidates will typically have multiple job offers. So put your best foot forward when doing the interview by holding yourself to the same standard that you're gauging your potential hires by. Meaning, you'll want to dress accordingly, behave professionally, and prepare good questions. You'll also want to share appealing information about your company, such as its professional development, opportunities, or collaborative culture. The latest research shows that in 2022, employees are looking for employers who prioritize well-being, offer them flexibility to work from home, and share similar values. So if your company is proud of its accomplishments in these areas, don't forget to mention that during the interview. All right, we've reached the end of our tips. Armed with this information, you can go forth with confidence, knowing that you're prepared to conduct a successful remote interview. Thank you for watching, and if you want more recruiting tips and business advice, visit our blog at teamly.com.